Well, talking about security threats, let's go straight to the point. We have this seemingly growing concern with our neighbor in China. We have incidents and occurrences na parang masasabi natin they are already within our midst. Isang example dito yung mga pogo hubs na na-expose na ng ating Philippine Anti-Organized Crime Unit Commission. At umaga po sa inyo lahat. Welcome back here in The Agenda sa Club Filipino. This program is brought to you by EFG Consulting in cooperation with Impact Publishing. For today, we are going to have a discussion on security. When we talk about security, we're talking about internal threats and external threats. Well, maraming storya, kaya let me introduce to you our resource persons for this morning. On my right, needs no introduction. He is one of the most, if not the most decorated soldier in the armed forces of the Philippines. He is a Medal of Valor awardee. No less than Sir Ariel Carubin. Magandang umaga po, sir.
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Magandang umaga, Attorney Fred.
Thank you, sir. And to my left is Senior Immigration Officer Melvin Ambulak. He is the OIC of the Advanced Passenger Information Unit and also the Deputy Spokesperson of the Bureau of Immigration, Melvin Mabulak.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Magandang umaga, Sir Fred, yung aking former commissioner ng Bureau of Immigration. Of course, Sir Ariel, it is an honor to be here at makapagbigay po tayo ng mga informasyon yung ginagawa ng ating kawanihan ng pandarayuhan para po sa sambayan ng Pilipino. Magandang umaga po.
And we'll go straight to the point, Sir Melvin. Namomonitor nyo ba rito yung mga pumapasok na mga Chinese workers or Chinese businessmen who set up these POGO businesses?
Yes po, we do have the intelligence division. They are the one in charge in monitoring. At the same time, yung mga POGO kasi, it is isang programa din po yan ng gobyerno and there are agencies na involved dito. Kaya even issuing ng isang visa sa isang magtatrabaho sa POGO, there are requirements na kailangan makuha natin from other government agencies to ensure na sila talaga ay sumusunod sa lituntunin ng POGO. Pero nagkakaroon tayo ng masusing pagtitingin considering the increasing number of mga foreign nationals na nagtatrabaho sa POGO, pero they are being involved sa ibang mga trabaho na illegal. And that is the thing na mayroon tayong coordination with other government agencies.
Would you say, sir, that from time to time nagkakaroon ng konting lapses? Kasi yun na nga, failure perhaps to share information between agencies, kaya nakakapasok yung mga ganitong klaseng, can I say, just bad guys. And not only from China, but all other countries, pero nakakapasok sila dito sa ating bansa.
Yes, we have to understand the entry ng isang foreign national. Ito po ay tinitingnan natin, are they compliant to the conditions, requirement ng pagpasok. During the entry, they are not included sa mga blacklist. Nakita natin they are compliant to the conditions. May return ticket. O di kaya, pag sila ay andito, they were able to secure proper visa. However, isang challenge po natin is to be able to determine talaga kung ano yung purpose na hindi natin nakikita during the entry. Pero we have to understand na ongoing po yung ating pagmomonitor sa kanila, kaagapay po ng ibang law enforcement agency. Kaya pinapaigting po natin yung ating coordination with the PNP, with the NBI, at ngayon yung ating PAOK sa Office of the President.
Lumalabas ba, sir, na heightened alert ngayon ng Bureau of Immigration and all other border security agencies given what has happened and might be happening in our midst in this POGO concern?
Yes po. Even kahapon, the other day din, doon ako sa Terminal 3, may mga nakita namin na they are using Philippine passport. May nahuli tayo, 2. But when we check, hindi sila makapagsalita ng Filipino, ng Tagalog. when I was the one who asked kung ano yung kanilang other identity cards, no? Mayroon silang driver's license, mayroon silang certificate, birth certificate, pero hindi ang nag-apply sa kanila, hindi nila kilala. Online lang. And that is the thing na challenging us kasi when you ask for identity, they're able to present mga genuine documents. At nakangailangan talaga ng coordination na isang approach ng bawat ahensya ng gobyerno. Kasi hindi ito kakayanin ng isang immigration lamang.
Sir Ariel, alam po natin o alam ng ating mga nakikinig at nanonood na you have fought the communist insurgents, the Muslim secessionists, and to a certain extent, all kinds of nakalaban nyo na. Etong nangyayari ngayon dito sa atin sa in relation to our relationship with China. Ano sa tingin niyo, sir, ang dapat mangyari para lang sa ganun we can address this kind of supposed external threat?
Balikan natin kasi kung itong nangyari na ito sa West Philippine Sea, sabihin na natin, diretsuin natin, no? This did not happen overnight. It happened several years ago kasi nung ako naandun pa sa serbisyo noon, nung mailipat yung unit namin, no? From galing kami ng Bataan, lumipat kami ng Palawan. In fact, ang unang enkwentro ko sa MNLF nung Palawan, nadali ko yung 7 na commanders ng MNLF, no? I was promoted on the spot, meritoriously, no? I was promoted 3 years ahead of my class. 2 months pa na dun sa mga senior ko. Pero, yun nga, nung naandyan yung Marines noon, ang nagmaman ng mga isla, Marines yan. At tinull out sila sometime in 1986 nung nagkaroon na ng, sabihin natin, hindi man resurgence o ano, kasi yung insurgency problem natin nag-heighten, umakyat na. Ngayon, pinull out yung Marines sa mga isla kasi mahusay daw na maneuver force yung Marines. And during those times, no, ang defense plan na naka-implement noon was hammer and anvil. Meaning, yung hammer, yun yung yung intruder, no? At yung anvil, yun yung mga Marines na they were willing to die with their salty boots on. So, ganun ka-determinado tayo noon na protektahan itong mga isla na to. Kaya lang, nung pinull out sila at mag-concentrate tayo sa insurgency problem, nag-shift na rin yung focus ng ating, kahit sandatan lakas, no? Napunta na ngayon sa ground force para ma-address itong insurgency. Kasi kailangan natin na palakasin yung units natin sa counter-insurgency. So, yun ang naging problema natin.
Pero matanong ko lang, sir, during that time of that hammer and anvil approach, nagkaroon ba tayo, sir, ng mga skirmishes with, let's say, external forces?
Wala tayong incidents. In fact, nakakaano nga na every time na makahuli tayo noon ng mga Chinese fishing vessels, no, dinadala natin yan sa Puerto Princesa, sinasampahan ng kaso yan. And then, pagka they're found they guilty of convicted sila, dinideport sila ngayon, iniiwan nila yung Chinese junk doon sa puerto.
Pero sir, yung sa BRP Sierra Madre, sir, nakapunta na po ba kayo, sir?
Yan ang sana na balak kong puntahan. Oo. Pero yung nagmamanyan, mga Marines.
Yes.
Marines ang nagmamanyan. So, makikita mo na idudugtong-dugtong ko yan lahat kasi naging operations officer ako ng Western Command noong time. Naging battalion commander din ako ng 1st Marine Battalion na stationed dyan sa Southern Palawan. Before we were redeployed to Central Mindanao, naka-enkwentro yung unit ko doon sa Quezon, Palawan. Naka-recover kami ng laptop computer. We weren't able to open it. So pinadala namin, pinadala ko sa Solcom, hindi nila nabuksan. Nung pagbalik sa amin, inanalyze namin lahat nung naandun na very naka-attract sa akin ng attention yung CPP, NPA strategic plans. Nakalagay doon, strengthen foothold along the shorelines. This was in 1999. 1995, nahawakan ng China na yung Mischief Reef. So anong ibig sabihin lang nun? Kung i-strengthen mo yung shorelines sa west coast ng Palawan, that is really intended for yung kung anong balak ng China na gagawin sa Mischief Reef. Kasi Mischief Reef is very near to our shorelines, no?
So basically, sir, you're saying that yung based on that information nakita ninyo dun sa laptop, shared by, of course, within the entire armed forces, talagang merong close alliance yung what's happened in Mischief Reef and the grand plan of the CPP-NPA here.
Yeah, I'm so happy na this time nagbago na. Nagbago na yung ating mga kapatid natin, no, sa mga kaliwa na against na rin sila sa China sa ginagawa na pambubuli sa atin ng China. So ngayon, kung titignan mo, no, yung Mischief Reef, katabi ngayon na ayungin yan. Kaya nga mabilis sila nagre-react pagka magre-reprovision tayo. Madali ka agad sila nangaharang kasi hawak nila yung Mischief Reef. So Mischief Reef is it's an ideal transshipment point not only for firearms but for illegal drugs. Even yung mga smuggled goods, no? So I made a special report about this, no? Na ginamit pa yata, I'm no longer sure kung sa isang privileged speech na isang senator noon, no? Na yung assessment ko was ganito. The CPP-NPA is Mao-oriented, Mao-inspired. So China yan. Yung secessionist group natin na MNLF, allegedly, yung mga armas noon na pinapadala sa kanila came from Pakistan, a surrogate of China. So malalim na ginawa ng pinagplanuhan tayo na ma-shift yung focus natin sa internal problem natin. Nawalan tayo ng focus ngayon sa West Philippine Sea. So naturally, even yung ating Navy, Air Force at saka yung Coast Guard, napabayaan natin. Hindi tayo nakapag-modernize.
So ang ginawa parang ang armed forces tumingin sa loob, the attention was inside instead of outside, instead of over the fence.
Yes.
Ganon na nangyari, sir.
Ganon na nangyari ngayon. So, pansinin ninyo dahil nag-decline na yung insurgency problem natin. Sa mga kapatid natin na mga Muslim, marami na tayong peace agreement na kailangan na lang implement. So, yung marami ng areas na insurgency free. So this time, nakita mo, gradually, nagpo-focus na tayo, nag-shift na tayo sa external. Kaya yun ang panawagan ko na sana, sabi ko nga, i-fast track natin yung self-reliance defense posture program natin kasi we can never be forever dependent on a superpower. Dapat kaya natin tumindig ng sarili natin, no? At nataon lang ngayon kasi na binubuli ka na isang superpower. You are left with no other option than to look for a big brother, no? Pero yun nga yung natin na sana hindi tayo totally dependent sa kanila. We should be able to stand on our own. So yun lang yung na i-fast track nila yung ating SRDP, no? Na yung Self-Reliance Defense Posture Program na dati-dati naman meron na tayo niyan na pinabayaan lang nila. So yan ang tutukan natin and then slowly kasi ang tatapang ng mga Pilipino Meron tayong alam mo yung dugong bayani na ipinamana sa atin ng mga nauna natin na bayani, no, na nagpapakamatay para sa kalayaan natin. So, etong mga sundalo, etong mga men in uniform na to, they are willing to die for our country. Ang kailangan lang nila, i-modernize, ibigyan mo sila ng magagandang equipment para naman ganado rin sila lumaban, di ba?
Balikan ko lang, sir, yung self-reliance defense program din yun, no? Would you also consider, kasi meron tayong external threat, yung sa US, sir, di ba, nagkaroon ng 9/11, that was external. And then, as an offshoot of that incident, nagkaroon sila ng Department of Homeland Security. Inorganize nila yung isang border control agency under one lang para yung sinasabi nga ni Sir Melvin kanina, medyo kailangan talagang consolidated yung strength resources dun sa border natin. Would you consider that also, sir?
Yeah, maganda 'yon, no, kasi actually maraming dapat tignan ba. Kaya nga kuminsan sabi ko, nagbibiro lang subukan ninyo yung Ariel Kerubin para at least maayos natin yung yung mga problema na ganyan.
Kayo, Sir Melvin, what do you think? Will the Bureau or is the Bureau in favor of consolidating our resources, personnel, management dun sa isang centralized, let's say, Department of Border Security?
For me, on my level, no, I don't have any para to decide. However, looking at the importance of having a single force to counter and to strengthen our border, napaka-importante. Even in our sharing of information among agencies, yan ang medyo nakikita natin lacking. If we could able to consolidate nito, it will further strengthen hindi lang sa internal pati external. It will really help.
Bakit kaya, sir, hanggang ngayon medyo may issues tayo about sharing of information between or among agencies? Kasi parang matagal ko na narinig yon. When I was in the Bureau, we tried already sharing our information with NICA, DFA, and BI. Parang hanggang ngayon, parang yun pa rin pinag-uusapan natin.
We're trying to resolve that. Kaya napakaganda, meron tayong mga coordination, mga councils na we do have quarterly or monthly meeting sharing information. At ngayon nakita natin yung mga fruit of doing this. Kasi may mga nahuhuli tayo on the back door sa Mindanao na intercepted by Coast Guard, by Navy. Ibig sabihin, hindi coordinate immediately with the immigration. At yan ang napaka-importante. Kasi kung lacking ang isang ahensya ng isang isang programa na would somehow be of help to other agency, na ko-consolidate natin at still na-implement mo yung mandato mo at yung mandato ng ibang ahensya at it will help the country.
Alam mo, Attorney Fred, no?
Yes, sir.
I also would like to share kung ano yung experience ko dito sa information sharing o ano. Sabi ko nga sa side ng yung nasa armed forces ako, no. Magugulat ka kasi doon sa pagkadali kunwari ni Abu Sabaya, that was 2002. I led that operation. Anong mga lessons doon? Sabi nga nung mga Amerikano na kasama, kasi it was a balikatan, there are so many Filipino patriotic soldiers, but a lot of their energies are wasted trying to outdo each other. That's where yung mga compartmentalization, nangyayaring ganyan, di ba? Even nung ma-rescue namin I led also the rescue Father Nacorda, ganun din yung naging problema. Hindi rin nag-share ng mga information. Pinakahuli, yung Mama Sapano, that's another example na yung jointness kunwari na sinasabi, no, that can also happen sa civilian agencies, di ba? Dapat meron ka talagang coordination. Ang hirap kasi dahil actually I don't want to pass judgment na sa sundalo they were after the bounty, no. It's more after the glory. Yung yabang ba na ikaw yung maka-score, score namin to. Ganon, di ba? Pero sana mag-mature tayo. Yeah.
But given your experience in those three instances, sir, what else do you think government must do so that yung mga failure to share information will be minimized, if not talagang mawala na, sir?
Well, pa rin, no? Karamihan naman dito, ginagawa yan sa mga exercises, mga di ba? Na tuloy-tuloy naman. Ako, malayo na yung armed forces ngayon kaysa nung dati na nandun tayo na ano kasi marami ng it's so sa akin very professional. That's the reason why even the trust rating is so high. Nga idudugtong ko na rin lang kasi sabi ko lahat itong mga nangyayari na ganyan kung minsan they cure all, di ba? Yung kailangan lang natin is good governance aided by a well-disciplined men in uniform. Ngayon, yung military, napakataas nung trust rating. Why can't the other agencies step up, di ba? Para wala na itong mga ganitong problema. Even yung pinag-uusapan natin about coordination, about kasama pa rin yan. Kung maayos ang patakbo ng gobyerno, hindi nakakaganyan.
Ikaw, Sir Melvin, given that you are now almost 20 years in government service, no?
Yes, sir.
Almost 20 years. Yung sinasabi ni Sir Ariel na good governance, what do you think is the key ingredient nang sa ganon, let's say, in the Bureau of Immigration, magkaroon ng good governance in such a way, nasabi nga ni Sir Ariel, there will be no problems when it comes to information sharing and failure of intelligence or yung kulang sa coordination?
I'm more into our sa values natin sa immigration. Yung patriotism talaga. When we share patriotism, because at the end of the day, we are looking at the same direction. And when we are looking at the same direction, regardless kung ano yung sinasakyan mo, papunta kayo. And we almost everyone should be able to embrace that. And I'm very happy on the part sa immigration ngayon because we are entering into reaching out to other agencies for sharing agreement. If okay, let's go to sharing agreement. Ini-integrate na natin sa ating system from DOLE, from NBI, inaano natin.
DFA.
And that is the thing na napaka-importante because we have to admit, isa lang yung gusto natin para mapaganda yung ating bayan.
Oh, pero sabi nga ni Sir Ariel, yung that desire to have that glory na hindi, BI ang nakascore niyan, NBI nakahuli niyan, o mga ganun ba? What do you think can be done in such a way na mabawasan yung ganun?
I think we have to, regardless kung sino ka, it's not about what you wear.
Okay.
It's about your destination. And that is the thing that everyone must embrace, yung destination natin.
Kay Sir Ariel, Sir Melvin said patriotism is the key ingredient to have that kind of parang good governance. Would you consider yung time ninyo sa armed forces, time ko sa armed forces, and armed forces ngayon, kung tumaas, bumaba, o maintain lang sir yung patriotism?
Nakakausap ko naman sila. Wala naman din nandun yung kanilang alam mo yung love for country, love for kasi sa akin maano ko lang kasi ako nga 'di ba, I am in my comfort zone and a lot of people, a lot of friends, they're asking, "Oh Ariel, ano naisipan mo na naman na papasok ka diyan sa it's love for country." I've been, sabi ko nga, hindi lang ako nasubukan ko na namatay. Lahat ng mga enkwentro ko, ibinis ko yung buhay for love of country. And I'm sure yung armed forces natin, men in uniform, ganun din kasi nakakausap ko Ang importante lang, pagka minodernize mo yung kanilang gamit, even yung moral nila, pataasin mo, ano yan? Puro bayani yung mga yan. Lahat tayo bayani.
So lumalabas sir, hindi nagbago. Talagang nandito pa rin level ng patriotism ng ating mga Pilipino.
Yes. Ang ano lang natin, sabi ko nga, doon sa mga namumuno, pag-ukulan lang din nila ng pansin yung pangangailangan ng ating mga kapulisan, kasundaluhan, no? Kasi they're willing, they're so patriotic, no? Ang importante lang, siyempre, i-suportahan mo rin.
Well, I'd like to introduce to our listeners and viewers also isang patriotic na public servant sir. Produkto ng Universidad ng Pilipinas. Spokesperson ng ating Bureau of Immigration, Dana Sandoval. Ma'am Dana, matanong ko na sa iyo. para diretso na tayo, dahil we were talking about problems with information sharing that can cause some issues when it comes to border control. Magkakaroon ng State of the Nation in a few days. Ano po bang state ng Bureau of Immigration today?
Good morning, sir. And of course, good morning po sa lahat ng nanonood and nakikinig ng forum na ito. First of all, I'd like to apologize for being late because we had to, I wasn't late. I was unavailable, but I had to make myself available for this forum. Thank you, sir. Thank you po. Ang state of the Bureau ngayon really is really good. Masasabi natin, the goal of Commissioner Norman Tansinco really now is modernization, and we can see that we're getting there. There are so many projects that are bound for modernization, like the goal of the commissioner really is to make things electronic already, make things available online already. And just the other day, we have not announced this yet, sir. This is the first time that we're announcing it. We have already launched the online student visa application to make it easier for students to apply for their visas online. The goal towards modernization is not really just limiting it to copying other countries, but it also is a key ingredient in stopping corruption, because it really eliminates opportunities for corruption if you make things online, if you make things electronic already. So I can really say with full confidence that the state of the Bureau of Immigration is really good right now.
Balikan ko lang kay ma'am dun sa student visa online. Of course, it will be very convenient for our legitimate students to come here and study. Pero paano kung may makalusot na bad student? Parang nangyari doon sa 9/11, yung estudyante na piloto, nakalusot pa. Estados Unidos na yon. Hindi ba kayo kinakabahan sa bureau, sir? Ma'am pala?
Actually, sir, kasama yan sa mga tinitingnan natin. That's part of the electronic procedures natin. Kasi hindi siya basta anyone can apply, but it's the school who will apply for the student. So there's initial vetting already. Bago sila pumasok, if their visa required, there's vetting from the DFA, then there's vetting from the school before they can apply for their visas through the school. They cannot go just walk in, or the students cannot just go online by themselves. It's the school that applies online for them. And apart from that, sir, we also conduct vetting because they are still required to present themselves sa immigration for biometrics capturing. So it's really just eliminating the paperwork, all those tedious paperwork, but the security aspect remains dun sa ating assessment.
Pero ma'am, bakit kaya napili ng bureau unahin ang student visa, hindi yung, let's say, yung working visa?
Siguro, sir, we can say that the student visa is really one of the safest types of visas for foreign nationals. Kasi ang petitioning entity niyan are legitimate schools that have been vetted already by CHED, by DepEd. So, marami ng vetting process ang nangyayari bago makapag-apply ang estudyante. At talagang mga estudyante yan na minomonitor natin yung pag-aaral nila doon sa mga paaralan. So, it's really one of the safest in terms of visas that we issue. That's why it's one of the first, but that's not the last. Mayroon pa tayong mga next visas that are going to be available online for the transacting public. But of course, hindi natin aalisin yung security aspect of the assessment. What we want is to make things streamlined para mawawala na yung tedious paperwork, pero mananatili yung way of our officers, of our personnel in properly vetting the applicants.
You talked about the vetting process. Meron po ba kayong mga linkages with other agencies that would help the Bureau vet whether the student is a good guy or a bad guy?
Specifically, siguro let's start with, sir, with the student visa. Tightened na yung security natin in terms of student visa applications. We have regular meetings with the interagency on foreign students, which is headed by CHED. The data that we are receiving for those applicants ng mga student visas, we forward it also to NICA for prior vetting before the visa is finally issued. And of course, meron tayong vetting in terms of our derogatory database. Yung derogatory database po natin is connected with Interpol as well as contains all the other types of derogatory information that are given by the Bureau or given by other agencies.
Would you know ba offhand, Ma'am Dana, na how many or ano yung pinakamaraming estudyante natin dito? From which countries?
For last year, yun nga yung naging issue, sir, last time, yung mga Chinese nationals. Medyo madami po yung mga Chinese nationals here in the Philippines. I think, all in all, umabot ng 16,000 ang Chinese nationals here out of the 23,000 more or less foreign nationals. But that has been clarified already because during the pandemic, marami po sa kanilang nag-online schooling because of course they have to continue their studies despite the pandemic. So they are not on-site, but they are doing it online and most of them are graduating already. Ngayon, nakikita natin mababa na yung numbers kasi yun yung latak ng pandemic. They weren't able to apply for their visas during the pandemic because they were doing it online. But when they had to do their revalidas, their thesis defense, or before their graduation, they had to go here. So of course, if they need to go here and they need to graduate as a student, they would have to apply for their work visa. So that's an accumulation of all the visas that were supposed to be issued during the pandemic period.
So out of a total of, let's say, 23,000, 2/3 came from China.
Yes, but that
And-
was nga the accumulation
Yes.
of
And
several
then,
years.
For this 2024, meron po ba kayong datos?
2024, from what I recall, medyo mababa yung ating data ngayon ng mga foreign students. I think, of course, nagkaroon din ng effect doon sa mga Chinese students that are legitimate Chinese students that are coming here in the Philippines.
But those from China are still the top
So
pinakamarami.
far, yes po, followed by the Indians and
Okay.
also Koreans.
Okay. Sir Adel, matanong ko na kayo diretso. Will that be a cause for concern na dumadami yung Chinese students here given na yung experience nga dun sa 911, estudyante yung nakadali sa World Trade Center, sir?
Alam mo, yung 911 nga. Yung 911, ang balita ko nga noon dito trinain yung mga piloto. They were trained to fly, to take off, but not to be able to land the planes. So, totoo yan na dun sa katanungan, no? Sa naririnig ko kanina, yung pagpunta naman nila, mga estudyante na yan kasi, di ba, they were doing their schooling online, di ba? And kung magaling pa rin ang intel natin, hindi pa rin sila lulusot So, sa akin, okay lang na basta matutukan lang natin. Dapat napakagaling nung mga intelligence natin na nagmo-monitor sa kanila. Yun lang, no?
And that intelligence will be anchored on data sharing talaga, sir, no?
Yes. Importante talaga yung wag kang yung sabi nga nilang jointness. We should be operating jointly.
Sige. Sir, tsaka ma'am, medyo marami yatang gusto magtanong sa inyo. So we immediately proceed to our question and answer portion. Same procedure, please. State your name, your outfit, and then please address kung sino yung gusto nyong magsagot sa tanong ninyo.
Yes po, kay Colonel Ariel Kiribin. I'm Nats Alforte po from Media House Express at Manila East. Sir, tinanggap nyo na last Monday yung hamon ng mga Pilipino at mga kasama nyo rin na sa mga general ito, no? Ah, ano pong partido ang mapupuntahan ninyo at ito po sa partido federal ni BBM or makikitay up kayo? At isa pa po, yung tungkol sa West Philippine Sea, no? Ano po ang ano nyo po dito? Dapat ba talang sumagot na tayo, gumanti na, o ipananatilin pa rin natin yung sinasabi ni BBM na kalma lang?
Tungkol dun sa ano, no, yung ako anong partido, I'm still with the Nationalista Party. As to the alliances, we have yet to be informed ba formally kung ano to, kasi sabi ko nga sa mga alliances naman open naman tayo sa mga grupo na yung like-minded, no? We share the same values, the same vision for the country. Doon naman sa West Philippine Sea na yan, maraming nagpapakalat ng gera. Sabi ko, wala naman may gusto ng gera. Not even China. I don't think na war is so expensive. No? Yeah, war is so expensive. Sabi ko nga nung all-out war nga namin halfway through, 'di ba? We had to declare a unilateral ceasefire because we ran out of ammunition. So walang ang solusyon pa rin dito, sabi ko nga, we cannot solve it militarily. Diplomacy pa rin.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Dagdag na tanong, Colonel. Sa current PH po, ano pong masasabi nyo dun sa biglang nagpakitang gilas yung China dito sa ating using their aircraft carrier group na dumaan sa Pilipinas?
Yung monster ship.
Hindi lang po, yung aircraft group mismo.
Ano pa rin yan? Kung nagsasaber rattling or kahit nagpapakita ng sabi nga nila kung hindi tayo magpapabuli, wala rin naman yan, no? Sanay naman tayo, sabi ko nga, lahat ng Pilipino may dugong bayani. Di ba? Handang when push comes to shove, no? Palagay ko, tayo mga Pilipino, handa naman tayong idepensa ang ating bansa.
Morning, gentlemen and ladies. Sa tanong ko dun sa Bureau of Immigration, in connection to kay Miss Alice Gorda, Mayor Bambam, since kung sakaling ma-declare siyang hindi siya Filipino, are the immigration ready to deport her at saang bansa niyo siya ipapadala?
Siguro masyado pa pong maaga para magsalita with regards to the action of the Bureau of Immigration. But generally speaking, ayoko lang kasi sigurong ma-preempt any action of the Bureau, no? But generally speaking, kapag ka ang isang foreign national ay nakita po natin na merong violation dito sa bansa, whether it be using fake documents, whether it be overstaying, ang punitive action po ng Bureau of Immigration is deportation and blacklisting.
Second question. Sa Davao kasi, merong nabalitang 200 na late registration which involved also yung mga foreign nationals. So anong gagawin ng immigration for this matter?
Yes, alam nyo, nakakabahala talaga yung narinig natin na balita na yan na 200 mahigit na mga foreign nationals ang gumagamit ng late registration. Actually, isa ito sa mga unang ni-raise ng Bureau of Immigration. Marami po tayong nai-intercept ng mga foreign nationals na may mga documents ng mga Pilipino, birth certificate, pasaporte, ID, national ID, lisensya, and they are presenting themselves as Filipinos. This is very troubling. We think this is a national security concern kasi nawawala na sila sa jurisdiction ng immigration kapag ka nagpakilala na sila or nagpakita na sila ng dokumento na sila po ay Pilipino. Dahil technically, kung pinakita nila yung dokumento na yun, sila po ay Pilipino. At napakahirap hulihin ng ganito pong uri ng mga foreign nationals because they are presenting legitimate Philippine documents. Totoo ang kanilang mga dokumento. They can show you layers and layers of documents na pinapakita nila na lahat ay authentic. Just imagine the challenge niyan sa ating mga immigration officers na nakaka-encounter. And we have raised this already after encountering numerous foreign nationals na nakita natin na may mga ganitong uri ng dokumento. Hindi siya limited sa Chinese nationals. We have already intercepted other nationalities. May Vietnamese, may Taiwanese. Iba-iba po yung nationalities na nakikita natin. And with that specific huli, makikipag-coordinate po tayo kasi nais natin, interesado tayong malaman kung sino tong mga individual na ito, na mga foreign nationals na ito, na nagpapakilala as foreign nationals. And we really think it's already a big issue and beyond immigration already kasi ang daming government agencies na kailangang makipagtulungan with immigration para matukoy natin kung sino itong mga foreign nationals na ito.
Kay Colonel po, Colonel, nagkausap na po yung NTC in regards for your candidacy.
And sa NPC, I'm not
National People's Co. Yung party.
no, Nationalista Party.
Nationalista, sorry, NT tala, sorry, NT.
Yeah, Nationalista Party. As of last na pag-uusap namin nila Senator Villar, ang sabi naman niya wala pa naman daw sa admin ang kumakausap sa party, no. But matagal-tagal na 'yon. I hope meron na ngayon kung doon ang direction nila.
Pero sir, may lumabas ng shortlist. Do you think dapat sila Senator Villar should endorse you properly na sa admin? Lalo, I heard yung anak niya yatang isa will run as senator, si Camille Villar.
Actually, 4 kami na members ng Nationalista Party, di ba? Si Camille, Deputy Speaker Camille, Senator Amy, saka si Senator Pia. So pang-4. Ako lang nga yung yung male.
Thank you, sir.
Isingit ko lang, sir, ha? What's your take or comment doon sa designated survivor na lumalabas parang kasama nyo ata sa political arena?
Well, well, lahat naman tayo entitled to our own opinion. Kaya nga sabi ko, karapatan ng isang Pilipino, no, na magsabi nung saloobin niya.
Hello po, good morning. Luisa po from PTV4. For Ms. Dana po, since iniisip ngayon hindi uma-attend si Mayor Alice Guo sa Senate hearing and hindi rin daw siya nakikita sa farm, meron na bang update sa ILBO? May na-monitor po ba tayo?
Doon sa Immigration Lookout Bulletin, naka-monitor po tayo. Sa ngayon po, wala pa po tayong natatanggap na bagong order, whether it be a whole departure order, a new ILBO, or a warrant of arrest. Ang in place pa lang po natin ngayon is the Immigration Lookout Bulletin.
So, sa ngayon kaya, ma'am, masasabi natin nasa Pilipinas pa rin siya?
Sa atin pong records, wala pa pong recent travel. Itong si Mayor Alice Guo o kaya naman po yung Guo Huaping. Wala pa po tayong records of any recent departure niya.
Ma'am, may update ba? Ilan po yung ipade-deport natin na related po sa illegal pogo?
Doon po sa ating tala, total po niyan yung mga nahuli po ng PAOK in coordination with the Bureau of Immigration. Nasa mahigit 3,300 ang for deportation. Ang na-deport na po natin doon sa numero na yon around 2,300 ang na-deport na po natin. The rest po ay naantay pa natin yung kanilang mga travel documents as well as their clearances po from the National Bureau of Investigation. And the logistics, the preparations po niyan. Kasi usually, ang ginagawa po ng kanilang embahada ay pinagsasabay-sabay na lang po sa isang chartered flight sa pag-alis po nila.
Ma'am, since pinag-uusapan po ngayon yung policy making tungkol sa POGO, do you think ano po yung pwedeng i-recommend natin or ano yung stand ng Bureau of Immigration tungkol po dito? Dapat ba talagang iban? Nahihirapan po ba ang BI regarding sa mga operation ng POGO?
Siguro po, it's not for the Bureau of Immigration to answer with regards to policy making kasi tayo po ay implementing arm ng Department of Justice. It's really for the PAGCOR and of course with the direction of the President kung ano yung nakikita ng ating gobyerno na direction in terms of ano ba yung mga susunod dito sa industriya na ito. But sa amin po sa Bureau of Immigration, ang maibibigay po namin siguro na contribution dito sa policy making is the information on what types of modus operandi yung lagi nating nakikita, yung ilan itong mga na-encounter natin that are part of legitimate POGO operations as well as those na mga parang backyard online gaming operations that are already becoming nitong mga panahong to, napapansin natin, iba na yung iba na yung nagiging modus operandi, nagiging scam hubs na, nagiging trafficking areas na, and it's the same modus operandi that is being done to coerce yung mga kababayan nating Pilipino na magtrabaho abroad. It's exactly the same modus operandi, it's the same business model that we are noticing and that we are informing everyone na yung mga nakikita natin na mga dinudukot, pinipilit magtrabaho sa mga scam hubs dito, parehas na parehas yung ginagawa sa mga kababayan natin na nare-recruit magtrabaho sa ibang bansa like Myanmar, Cambodia, and other sa Asian countries na kung saan sila po ay pinipilit na magtrabaho as scammers and crypto scammers, love scammers, and sinasaktan po sila kapag hindi nila mabigay yung quota na kinakailangan nila. Parehas na parehas po. Yan din yung naririnig natin doon sa mga foreign nationals dito. And that is also being raised by immigration agencies in Southeast Asia during some of our interactions with them, yung mga forums natin with them. Kaya nakakabahala po and siguro yun yung maiaambag natin doon sa policy making. Kung ano yung nakikita natin with other countries in terms of immigration policies. Thank you.
Last na po. Sorry po.
Follow up, singit ko lang, when you were talking about trafficking, how active ang iyakat ngayon natin as compared to when it was, let's say, 10 years ago? Is it still para bang a proven solution to combat or minimize trafficking?
Alam mo, sir, yung iyakat ngayon is very, very active and we're really thankful that they're very active in terms of prosecuting those who are found to be involved in human trafficking and illegal recruitment. Kaliwat kanan ngayon yung mga kaso na inilalatag against ang mga nahuhuli natin sa mga paliparan. And I think malaking bagay ito doon sa ating mga immigration officers kasi nakikita nila na hindi na po put into waste yung efforts nila para mapigilan po itong modern day crime po na ito.
One last, okay.
Sige po. Ma'am, so do you think kung hindi man total ban, would you recommend na mas mahigpit sana yung paglalabas ng visa since meron din mga peking visa na nakukuha dito sa mga Chinese po na related din sa POGO?
Alam mo, ang nakikita natin na important talaga dito sa regulation ng POGO or any other industry that involves foreign nationals is really linkages of different government agencies. Ngayon po, nagkaroon tayo ng connections with DOLE. So, may tayo data sharing agreement with DOLE. So, automatic yan kapag kami nag-a-apply sa atin. We know already if it's legitimate alien employment permit or PEKE ito. And I think in terms of monitoring as well, mahalaga po yung linkages ng local law enforcement agencies, the local government units, the Bureau of Immigration, and yung iba pang mga ahensya na involved. Kasi hindi lang yan isang individual. Makikita ninyo yung mga scam hubs na ito or mga online gaming companies na ito na hindi lehitimo. Maraming pinagdadaanan, may business permit, may mayor's permit, lahat ng uri ng permit na kukuha nila. And it's very important that all agencies that are involved in regulating the different aspects of these types of companies be brought together. Kasi nakikita natin, hindi na pwede yung, kagaya po ng na-mention nila kanina, hindi na pwede yung kanya-kanyang ahensya tayo, trabaho ko, trabaho mo, bahala na kayo sa buhay nyo. Mahalaga ngayon yung linkages ng different government agencies para mabigyan natin ng mas tutok na pagtingin po yung ilang mga nakikita natin na palaging nangyayari or palaging naaabuso.
Good morning. To General, how are you, General? General Carabin, how are you? Dodi Lacuna.
Yeah. Thank you very much for promoting me. Actually,
But aren't you Lieutenant General after your retirement?
yeah, I received a pension of a Brigadier General. Oh, pero ang biro ko lang nung umalis ako ng serbisyo, wala akong pabaon. Kaya Colonel ako.
Hindi ka mukha na marami. General, anyway, is this not a sentiment or a manifestation of, hopefully not a compromise of your political principles or a limitation of our aging, no? Our aging times, diba? Is that a compromise? No, I hope not. No, but we go to this stage in our life and we look at the other perspective of really serving not just ourselves or our political interests, but essentially our countrymen. Sa totoo lang po. The question is, how do you feel about being now part of the political party or the party that's running for the Senate with Senator Amy Marcos, whom you went up against during EDSA 1?
On the contrary, no, ikwento ko rin lang, yung EDSA 1 na yan, it all started with the arrest of the security detail of Bobby Ongpin, led by Mike Aspirin. Remember, the 19 reformists, no? They were arrested on the eve of February 21 at 10 in the evening. Sino yung arresting officer? Captain Ariel Kerubin, and then assisted by Second Lieutenant Alex Balutan. Noong kinabukasan, huhulihin na namin sila, doon na nag-umpisa yung EDSA. So, doon mo makikita na hindi ako part ng I was with with General Tadjar at that time.
So you're not really a direct part, no, of the involvement of the reformists in the military during that
Ang kwento nila ako lang daw yung loyalista doon.
But now, last question. How do you feel about the modernization measures now being undertaken by the government? You know, you've heard about a lot of this modernization through the years, you know. After every administration, there's always a modernization program prepared by the current administration. But nothing really substantial or essential has happened through the years, General Carabin.
Well, at least ngayon, nag-shift na yung focus Tama kayo, no? Yung modernization nung nauna, nakapako yan dun sa counter-insurgency operation. So, halos lahat, ground force yung namo-modernize, no? Pero dito, nung nag-decline na halos lahat, marami na nag-declare ng insurgency-free area, even yung mga secessionist groups, we have, may mga agreements na andyan, a matter of implementation, di ba? So, ngayon, makikita mo kung paano minamadali nila yung pag-modernize ng Air Force, ng Navy, and even ang Coast Guard natin. So, I think we are on the right track.
Thank you very much, General. Thank you very much. God bless you po. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have room for 2 more questions. Sir. Parang
Good morning, sir, General. Colonel ka pa nung naghapunan tayo sa bahay mo, 2009. Sir, regarding ito sa treaty ng Philippines and US, kung kayo po tatanungin, 1 up to 10, ano po ang tiwala na ibibigay nyo sa US?
Yung medyo gitna na, mga 6.
Sir, ito kasi maybe personal or in public kasi may nabanggit ka sa akin noon na doon ako bumilib sa inyo na naisip ko na mas matindi pala ang mga karanasan niyo compared doon sa mga generals na nakaupo ngayon as chief of staff. May nabanggit ka sa akin ilang bala yung pumasok sa katawan mo.
Ayan. Totoo yan, no? Pero baka maubos tayo rito ng oras ba na magpapakita uli ako ng peklat ko. No, I had 67 shrapnel wounds, no? My pancreas got ruptured, a portion of the left lobe of my liver, and 6 feet of my small intestines were cut off. Namatay ako nun. At palagi kong babanggit yan na sa dami ng mga enkwentro natin, palagi kong ipinupusta yung buhay ko. Very, very consistent ako sa pagmamahal natin sa ating bansa.
Yun lang, sir.
Two more? Two more, okay, go ahead, please.
Current PH po. Ma'am Dana, tanong po uli. Yung nangyayari po sa Davao, yung 200 na Peking birth certificate, parang planta ng Peking Pilipino, no? Sa Davao lang ba nangyayari ito? Pangalawa, ano pong gagawin ng BOI dito? At paano ho natin ito ma-avoid?
Yes, sa tingin natin hindi lang to sa Davao nangyayari kasi marami na po tayong na-i-intercept galing sa iba't ibang areas. You know, the difficulty of avoiding this kasi napakarami po nilang mukhang malaking sindikat po ito at nakakapag-produce sila ng legitimate Philippine documents galing sa iba't ibang mga ahensya. And tama po na inaaral sa ating ng ating mga lawmakers ngayon yung proseso po ng pagbibigay ng birth certificates sa mga individual, yung late registration na tinatawag, tama po na inaaral po yan ng ating mga lawmakers kasi nakikita natin na maaring isa ito sa mga naaabuso upang maging source document or mother document para makakuha ng iba't iba pang uri ng dokumento. Matagal na naming nire-raise itong concern na to and we're really thankful na it's already put in light and napapag-usapan at nakikita na po ito ng ilang mga key people upang mas matutukan kasi talagang concern po ito. We see this as a national security concern. Thank you.
One last.
Good morning.
Veritas.
Nolan Arreola ng Radio Veritas at Leader News. May para kay Sir Kerubin. Isa sa pelikula po yung buhay ni Gringo Hunasan. Kayo po ba, sir? May plano?
Alam ninyo, 1994 pa, nung buhay pa si Ma'am Armida Sigyonreyna at buhay pa si Toto Natividad. Sana meron na akong sine noon. Buhay pa yung aking pumanaw na misis na doktora. Kaya lang kasi ang sine ipapalabas nila ng February. So alam na ninyo kung ano 'yon. It's a love story. All my life gera, 'di ba? Parang So nung namatay yung wife ko, sumunod nakipag-usap sa akin si Senator Bong Revilla at the late Rudy Fernandez. Rin, 'di ba? Namatay si Rudy. Tapos marami naman nakikipag-usap. Nitong huli, sabi ko nga nung I was interviewed Sir, kung isa sa pelikula yung buhay mo, sino yung sabi ko, may right of first refusal, si Coco, kasi siya yung nakipag-usap nun sa akin na, sabi niya, Sir, ako na lang, sana, sabi niya, nag-drug yung batang Quiapo. So, siguro, baka later on, baka i-consider niya. Pero pagka talagang wala, ay marami naman na nakikipag-usap na, na pwedeng gumanap.
Okay. With respect to my former colleagues at the Bureau who I get to talk to naman parate, si Sir Ariel, bihira ko nakakausap. And we haven't done this in our show, but perhaps we can ask our good resource person, being a tunay na Pilipino who loves the country very much, for a closing remark, sir.
Ito'y palagi kong nasasabi naman na ano, no, yung Ariel Querubin kasi, kahit saan ninyo, i-google man nyo, ganyan, hindi ako na-involve sa kahit anong anomalya, no? Pagtungkol sa pera, kahit sa mga babae, mga lahat. Alam niyo yung biro ko nga ang kaso ko lang talaga is massacre. Kasi palagi ko nawawalop yung kalaban noon. Kinakasuhan ako ng karapatan noon na massacre. Pero nitong huli, magkakabigan na kami. Kasi sabi ko nga nag-appear ako sa Congress noong December 5, pointing towards yung ko na, our enemies, sabi ko, now my friends, they are no longer ideologues, but they thrive on issues. So for as long as these issues are not addressed by our government, I'm referring to sa poverty, corruption, social injustice, unemployment, no? Police brutalities, military abuses, insurgency will persist. So what is the cure-all to all what's happening now? It's good governance, no? Aided by a well-disciplined men in uniform, no? Pero sabihin na natin ngayon, sa pag-iikot ko kasi nakita ko, ang galing, ang daming nangyari na maganda sa mga lugar na pinuntahan ko. Tawi-Tawi, galing ako ng Zamboanga del Norte, galing ako ng Palawan. Alam ba ninyo, sa lahat ng mga yan na napuntahan ko, nung nawala yung terorista, dumami yung turista. So, ganun lang kasimple, no? Kung wala itong mga armed struggles na to, matagal na sana tayo nagprogreso. So, yun ang panawagan ko sa lahat ng mga nag-aklas, nagmakyat ng bundok. Why don't you all come down, participate ba? Let us talk, let's meet, let us settle all our differences and end all these armed struggles for us to move on. No, yun ang panawagan ko, no? Salamat po.
Okay, and with that wraps our program. Ito po lang inyong host, Attorney Fred Mison, dito po sa The Agenda at Club Filipino. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Thank you.